Good morning, Ricky. Good morning, America. Good morning to you. It's Thursday, a beautiful, beautiful day in the neighborhood. And I have a special guest in the studio with me today, y'all. Now, this guest, honey, is a wonderful pastor and his beautiful wife, honey. And we've been talking about them for a while. And I don't know them personally, but my brother and his wife happen to go to the church that they used to attend with Joel Osteen. Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for John and First Lady Aventer Gray, y'all. Give it up. Wow. Good morning, Pastor. How are you doing this beautiful morning?
Good morning, Pastor Gray.
How you doing, Ricky?
How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you for having me and my wife.
Yeah, thank y'all so much for coming. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Yeah, we happy to have y'all this morning. All right, Gary.
All right, now, Pastor Gray, we're gonna start off with the good stuff.
All right.
Yes, let's
start off with the bad stuff. Let's end with the good stuff.
Oh, okay. Let's start with the bad. Okay, well, let's start with the bad.
We're gonna sandwich it. We're gonna do good.
All right.
Good.
Okay, so now, Pastor Gray and First Lady Aventer, you know, there's
Aventer.
Aventer.
Catch it.
Oh, Aventer. Okay,
Aventer.
correct and error. All right, so now, you know, we've been talking all week, at least a couple of months ago, about some situation that happened where Pastor Gray was alleged that you had an emotional affair over your beautiful wife, Aventer, with some woman, and it just didn't turn out right.
Yeah, I thought we'd start with the good, but I'm glad you
Okay, you said...
No, you said start with the bad.
You said start with the bad.
End with the good.
Well, as we talked about on the reality is that was something that took place well over a year ago. It was a painful
Oh, it's been that long?
Yeah, what y'all thought was new was over a year.
You know how that go.
What people heard was something that was well over a year old. Voicemail, well over a year old. All of that stuff, things that me and my wife had already worked through, talked through, and had walked out. And that it became public actually was probably the best thing that ever happened in my life.
Oh,
and that's usually happen when it comes public.
I needed to be.
Yeah. We actually made it public first.
Yeah, we actually did. We made it public in May at our own church. We started our church by letting people know we were at the verge of divorce. We were at the verge of breaking up. But God saved our marriage by causing me, number one, to face me and to deal with some things that I needed to address. And we started our church letting them know where we were.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, because we're human like everybody else. We walk through broken places, but that's what faith is. That's what redemption is. That's what Jesus is about.
And speaking of the church, did the roof get fixed? Because I did a story yesterday that the roof, they needed $200,000 for the roof.
Yeah, we are literally just probably a few thousand away from that being done. Good. Our church has been extremely generous. My wife and I have sown sacrificially. We are... Not that it's something that should be public, but we are one of the top givers in our own church because that's what we believe in. We believe in sowing. We believe in making sure that we are at the forefront of sacrificial giving.
I'm just trying to figure out what other church doesn't ask their congregation to help with the needs of the church.
Exactly. They do, but they get a little thrown off when a $200,000 Lamborghini comes into play and the church need them.
Because sometimes they be driving, like the first lady be driving like a Buick. You know what I'm saying? She don't necessarily...
Or she might drive a Benz.
Or a Benz, sometimes like an older one.
Girl. I think the name Lamborghini has people pretty much thrown off.
No, it's the price.
It's right.
It's the price.
The name. Whew.
But here's the thing. I bought that car over a year ago. Before I was ever the pastor of that
A year
church.
ago, everything was popping, boy.
It was all good just a year ago. See how you do
it.
Here's the point. I decided in February during the All-Star game in L.A. that I was going to bless my wife with that. I wasn't pastor of that church. And that church had nothing to do with what I chose to do for my bride.
Exactly.
And so while people are trying to draw correlations, those correlations don't connect. I understand how people are because people like a certain narrative, but unfortunately it's not the case. I have other business interests, and I did something that I wanted to do for my bride. Books, TV shows, those kinds of things. So I understand why people would try to draw the correlation.
Well, before we got to that church, it was just delivered because it wasn't even in production yet. It was delivered at the time that fits the narrative.
Was it a surprise? Did you know you were getting this car? Or did it just pop up? How'd that happen?
So as we shared on the reel, we have a common interest and we love vehicles and we always have.
Yeah.
But at the All-Star, it was a prototype in the lobby when John went to do a faith-based inspirational talk for the NBA players. We saw it and we went and we built one in the lounge, and it was like, yeah, right, this probably won't ever happen. They talked about it being delivered like at the end of the year. I from there didn't know if it would happen or not, but he knew that he had,
the resources.
Secured the funds and
Well, I was
delivered
still
the
walking
bag.
on faith. It ain't like I was sitting up on stacks, but God opened up the door throughout
Right.
the year for me to do what it is I wanted to do for my wife.
Right.
Right.
See, my thing is, I don't begrudge anybody doing something for their bride or for their spouse or for their loved one, which is in their means to do. What people don't know is the things we've walked through, things
Right.
that are private, whether it's our health or things, because life is not promised.
True. Right.
No.
I'm not getting up out of this life without giving her the best that I can, not just
Right.
externally, but also internally. So that was something I wanted to do.
The only reason that this is an issue is because you have pastor in front of your name.
Exactly.
That's real. And they forget that you are a man and a husband as well.
Right.
Now,
You know,
just out of curiosity, like, what are you listening to when you're whipping a $200,000 Lamborghini? Because like, you can't just listen to regular like slow
Yes,
music.
you can. The same thing you're listening to in that BMW that I had when we first met.
Exactly.
So,
See
so
what I'm
Gucci
saying?
Man, it is.
No.
And people always attack pastors and stuff. Like you said, you have books, you have other stuff going on, just like Joel Osteen and all
Right.
those other mega pastors. They have their books and they have all their things and they drive their nice cars. We just may not see it as prevalent like they show, with black
Yeah.
pastors for the most part. But I mean, my thing is, I think you drive what you want to drive or whatever, even though like they say, well, the church ain't driving, well, go to church, didn't want to drive. You want
but the
to
church
drive
might want to
this.
drive. The church can't afford it. I think, a lot of times
You afford what you want.
we can afford what you can afford. And if you can afford a Lambo, then by all means, I think that's fantastic. Now, in the Bible, it says, to whom much is given, much is required. And I think a lot of times, especially with these conversations, when it comes to, city officials or those that are in positions of authority, a lot of times you find those that follow you or look up to you kind of condemn you a lot harder than they would their average counterpart because of the position, because to whom much is given and much is required. So when it comes to this young lady, that's that question, and the going back and forth, if it was emotional, if it was physical, we had some conversations about it. Oh, okay. Well, we can do that too. We're gonna have a lot of conversations about it. So I think we're gonna go to break for a second.
Okay,
Yeah. Because this one's gonna be
hold
thick.
Hold that thought, Eva. We got Pastor John Gray and his beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wife. So happy. What's your name again? I apologize.
Aventer.
Miss Aventer, thank y'all so much for coming. We're going to be talking to them more coming up next. Rickey Smiley Morning Show. Hey, Pastor Gray, I have to tell you, I love your TV show, and I
Thank
watch
you.
it. Faithful watch. I used to talk about it on Twitter and Facebook. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Did you see that?
I didn't get a chance to. Ricky, please bless me. I need a blessing. Tell me what you said. Tell me what you said.
No, I was saying that I really love your TV show. I watch it all the time. I always talk about it. I used to talk about it all the time on social media.
Well, that means the world, man. I mean, the truth is you're one of the tastemakers. You're one of the clarion call individuals all the way. Everything you stand for, everything you've done, you were the one that brought the hood and the church together. A lot of other people kind of duplicated it, but you were the one that started it. So I just want to give you proper acknowledgement for that.
Man, thank you so much, man. Because that TV show, it didn't, kind of gave me some inspiration for mine because it's kind of like, just family stuff, with a lesson learned and all of that. I just absolutely, and I'll never forget, I was watching it on the way to, I was going somewhere, I was in Florida, and those episodes, I think it was coming on back to back, and I could not change the channel.
Wow.
Could not change the channel. It was a great show.
It was, and I used to watch it every Saturday, the Book of John
Yeah.
Gray. It was really
Me
a good
too.
show. Eva and I were talking about it.
The
off the air,
best
then we
my
watched
favorite
it.
episode is the one with you and Tammy Roman.
Yes.
What I appreciate about it is, and that's what I was just telling the people on live, is that as a pastor, a lot of times, like we were talking about earlier, we put you on a pedestal. And so sometimes it feels untangible. Sometimes it feels like you're in a world and in a bubble and then the rest of us exist. But for some reason on your show, you figure out a way to make parallels between you and everyone else. And you make it real and you make it applicable. I'm talking to Tammy, it allowed us to see ourselves in Tammy and to also apply what you were saying to her and teaching her how to be a better her in the world. So I give you a shout out for that.
I'm sorry. Before I forget, at some point during this interview, man, I really want you to summarize where somebody else can grow from it. You understand,
Yeah,
Pastor Gray?
I understand.
Summarize everything, because, my heart kind of full this morning because I don't want to sit here and be a part of condemning you because I've made mistakes and I'm not perfect and I don't think it's a perfect person walking on the face of the earth.
Right.
And I think more than the scandal, I really got more joy and more whatever out of the word and some of your teachings, because those are some of the videos that stick out to me most, because I just really didn't care about any of that stuff. Just as me personally,
Yeah.
or whatever. But just at some point, I just want you to have your own way, and you don't have to clear. Let me tell you something. You don't have to clear nothing up. You don't owe nobody apology, but who you feel like you owe an apology to. Yeah. And I just want you to know personally, you good with me.
That means the world, Ricky. And
so I mean that.
I will. And I think my wife was getting ready to echo something about the Tammy Roman piece.
Yeah.
Because the book of John Gray is not about two perfect people who are trying to act like we know all the answers.
Right.
We're two people who've gone through broken places that are trying to help other people.
Yeah.
When I speak to people, I'm not preaching at them. I'm preaching from them. And that's the difference, because I'm not above the blood that I preach about.
Wow.
I'm not just a pastor of my church. I'm a member of my church.
Right.
So I'll throw the mic down and get at the altar because I need him too.
That's right.
And I think that's the thing why people connect to us. And I think why the book of John Gray, which starts airing this Saturday at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, is the show that people need to watch.
Yeah, can you make sure that you call in and just make sure that everybody is on top of that. What can we expect this season?
Baby, what can we expect this season?
Well, it's literally just shifting the narrative like you were just talking about. There's no big I's and little U's. Everybody is the same, even if we are called to a different work, which is inspiration and speaking to people and getting into the word with people. We're actually just as much in need of the God that we preach about as everyone else. So the people with these problems, like the little girl who, and not giving too much away, is dealing with racism, just trying to give her some hope that, what she's walking through doesn't define her, that it's going to make her a better her. And many more stories like that. I think we have a young lady who was a fashion stylist who had an unforeseen accident and lost both of her legs.
Yeah.
So she lost hope in what she felt like she was purposed to do on this earth, which is style people and make them feel good about themselves. So my husband creatively gives her hope again. Right. And of course, it all wraps back to the word. And so that's who we are. And that's what we're trying to help people remember. Well beyond all of this other foolishness, our relationship needed to be submitted to the Lord as well. Yeah. But I am a wife and I'm a fighter. And I stand by the better and the worst, that I took the oath in front of the Lord for my husband. When the worst showed up, I didn't just run away.
That's right.
I stood and I believed God that he could redeem it, and he did, and we're much better because of it.
And you guys have been together for quite some time, right? We did a cover of a magazine, and you guys have a spread.
We gotta go to commercial. We're coming out on the other side. We're gonna let Pastor John Gray summarize this whole thing. Hold that thought, Eve. Don't forget, because we both have ADHD.
Oh, that make three of y'all, because John does too.
right. Okay.
Don't judge me, boo, on the show.
That's the truth, though.
Don't judge me, boo, on the show. Don't put my business out.
More Pastor John Gray up next. Rickey Smiley Morning Show. All right, Rickey Smiley Morning Show. We got Pastor John Gray in the studio.
Yes,
doing an exclusive. Pastor Gray, I need your advice.
Okay, talk to me.
I have an employee that pretty much don't come to work. He haven't been to work in 2 years. I don't know. We fired him. He came back. He has a different excuse.
Oh Lord, I think you're talking about B Tizzle, Black
You know-
Tony.
I've been working here 3.5 months now. I still ain't met him.
You ain't met Black Tony yet?
Wait a minute. How you know about Black? You be
Man,
waiting.
you act like people don't listen to you. Black Tony, macaroni Tony.
He is right here. Hello. Hey, what's up? What's up, Black Tony? We're real disappointed. Pastor John Gray here today.
Hey, Black Tony.
I need some prayer. You a real preacher. You ain't no fake pastor like Rick.
No.
Rick, he a fake pastor. He no real pastor. Rick be trying to make people think he a pastor. He no real pastor. He a fake.
Well,
Wow.
I need some prayer for him. A real pastor. I'm going through a lot of things, Pastor Gray.
Well, man, tell me what you need. What's going on in your life, brother?
So I need you to pray for me, Doctor. First of all, I need you to pray that everybody understand that I ain't know it with daylight saving time. My car was behind an hour. But ever since that same time came on, so that's why I've been late. That's why I ain't been getting up till 10 o'clock.
Well, see, you say late, but nobody's actually met you. So are you late? Or are you? I'm asking for
Get
a
him,
friend.
Pastor.
No. I'm just
Hey, bro.
asking.
Hey, bro.
Yeah, B
Bro.
Tizzle.
Bro.
Yes, sir.
I need you to pray for my dog, too. I had told them a few months ago that my dog had got attacked. My pit bull had got attacked by some other dogs in the woods. And
Right.
they had sexual assaulted him.
Oh,
They
And he
sexually
still ain't
assaulted
got
your
over
dog?
it yet. Yeah, he a boy dog, man. If a more boy dog got a hold of him, they thought he was a girl.
No, Black Tony, hold
Black
on.
Tony. Now,
But he only got 3 legs, so he couldn't fight back.
well, he got faith to fight back. He got 3 legs. That dog is a miracle walking.
Hey, and you're pray for Gucci. I've been trying to get Gucci to let me move in his crib. I just want to rent a room in the basement,
Well, let me
so
say,
we can get up and work out every morning together.
well, listen, Black Tony, let me tell you this, man. First of all, I don't know your whole story, but I speak life to you because the truth is there's a lot of people trying to figure out how to make it work, how to make it happen,
That's
and they
right.
don't always have everything that they need. So let me tell you something. The fact that you woke up this morning means God has a plan for your life, and the plan is not finished. And I pray for you, and I pray for everybody connected to you, and anything that's hindering you, whether it was something
What?
that was self-inflicted or from the outside,
Pastor Gray, you mean?
that God works it out for you.
Are you crying, Black Tony?
Hey, Pastor, that was beautiful. Ain't nobody never prayed for me like that.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to speak life to you, man. You sound like a couple of my uncles.
I told you to be there.
Jesus,
Gray.
Rick, you sound like you having an asthma
Oh,
attack.
man. The fact that you gonna come on this show and feel sorry for Black Tony, you know that man ain't came to work in 2 years. Come on, Pastor Gray.
Oh, man, everybody got something going on, Ricky. Just
every day?
Every day.
Now that's a pastor
That's
right
the
there.
the devil try to get him every day, Ricky. You
Right.
got to have grace.
And that's why he ain't come to work.
That's why I ain't come to work.
All right, Pastor Gray, take us home. Summarize. Let us, bless somebody right now, Pastor Gray. We appreciate you being here too.
Thank you, Ricky. I just want to speak to the people who have fought to do right, and somehow brokenness still comes. I want to speak to every man that has ever wanted to be a husband and a father but never had an example. I want to speak to every person who's ever gone through marital strife and it looks like you couldn't get it back. I want you to know that there is an example, that there are people who will fight. Let the story of John and Aventer not be the narrative of what went wrong, but let it be the narrative of